The story unfolds in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where a seemingly ideal couple, Larry and Lori Eisenberg, lived. However, beneath their perfect life, a hidden secret would eventually lead to tragedy. It's February 13, 2018, the day before Valentine's Day. Larry, 68, and Lori, 64, plan a romantic boat trip. Early in the morning, they set out on Lake Coeur d'Alene, aiming to enjoy a peaceful sunrise and breakfast at a nearby hotel. Despite the cold, they turn on the heater, and the morning seems perfect, until Lori frantically calls 911 at 10:23 a.m., claiming her husband had fallen overboard after possibly having a stroke. Distraught and unsure of her exact location on the lake, she describes the scene, saying Larry had been trying to fix something on the boat before collapsing into the icy waters. Rescuers soon find Lori, bringing her ashore wrapped in a blanket. She recounts how Larry had looked unwell before falling into the lake, and despite her attempts to help, she tripped, injuring her nose. However, the search for Larry proves grim, with the freezing lake offering little hope of survival. Divers search around Powderhorn Bay, several miles from where the couple's journey began. Larry and Lori had been together for nearly 30 years, with a blended family of 8 children and many grandchildren. They lived in a charming home in a wooded area of Idaho and were respected members of the community. Larry was retired from the timber industry, while Lori still worked at a nonprofit housing organization. Despite their outwardly happy marriage, the investigation reveals troubling facts. Just days after the accident, Lori is arrested, not for her husband's disappearance, but for embezzling nearly $580,000 from her workplace. The FBI uncovers a sophisticated scheme involving fake companies and financial fraud, with money funneled to her daughters. As Lori faces serious legal charges, doubts begin to surface about the nature of Larry's death. Could this have been a tragic accident, or is there more to the story? The once perfect life of the Eisenbergs unravels, leaving both law enforcement and the public with lingering questions. Larry Eisenberg's disappearance during a boat trip on Lake Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, triggers an investigation that initially seems to point to a tragic accident. His wife, Lori Eisenberg, claims that Larry fell overboard after feeling unwell. However, her erratic behavior, joking, crying, and then quickly returning to normal conversation, raises immediate concerns among her daughters and neighbors. Lori's quick push to sell their home and move adds to the growing suspicion. When Larry's body is discovered on March 1, 2018, autopsy results show a lethal dose of Benadryl in his system, pointing to poisoning rather than drowning. Investigators start to piece together the possibility of foul play, especially when they discover that Lori had recently altered Larry's will to favor her children, reducing the inheritance of Larry's own children. Additionally, Lori is implicated in an embezzlement scheme that was about to be exposed the day Larry disappeared. Lori later claims that the Benadryl-laced drink was meant for her as part of a suicide attempt, and that Larry accidentally drank it. Despite this explanation, investigators remain skeptical. In the end, Lori enters an Alford plea, meaning she does not admit guilt, but acknowledges that there is enough evidence to convict her. She is sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. Her daughters, involved in the embezzlement, receive probation. This case becomes a haunting tale of betrayal and deception, illustrating the extreme measures Lori took to avoid exposure.
Well, yeah, guys, Lori Eisenberg's court appearance was brief, but it got right to the point. 2 years ago, police believe she killed her husband on Lake Coeur d'Alene. Now, we started covering Eisenberg back in February of 2018. At that time, she was accused of embezzling money from a nonprofit that helped low-income families with housing. But a month after she was caught, the body of her husband, Larry Eisenberg, was found in Lake Coeur d'Alene. Larry's autopsy showed that he had a lethal amount of Benadryl in his system. Now, authorities didn't initially name Lori as a suspect in his death, but today, well, that's much different. The sheriff's office continued to investigate Larry's death. Last month, a grand jury convened here in Kootenai County and eventually charged Lori with first-degree murder. She was already in federal prison serving time on embezzlement charges, but today she appeared before a county judge to face the murder charge. Now, specific details of the killing, or a narrative for that matter, aren't clear, but right now she's charged under a section of Idaho's murder law that references using poison to kill someone.